It was announced last night that JK Dobbins had gone down yesterday and was suffering from a foot injury during last night's Thursday Night Football game. So I wanted to talk about it because a lot of people didn't even know that this happened. I didn't. I was already asleep at this point. So we're going to talk about it, kind of see what might have happened and what's going on with him. And so this was the play, pretty routine, just run up the middle. And defender comes over, tackles him. Looks like it lands on his foot, actually. And they did come out and say this was a foot injury. And I saw some people speculating that this might have been a knee injury, MCL or right on the inside of that knee. But I think this angle really shows it the best. His hip is internally rotating, so it kind of protects his leg in a way where it's never straight, it's never rigid. Nobody's coming in, hitting him on the outside of the knee and causing that sort of injury. And this angle is really the one that's going to show us what we need to see. I think it's also really important that the team has come out and stated that it is a foot injury instead of being like, oh, it's an ankle or a toe. That kind of narrows it down for us. If they had called this an ankle injury, I would immediately say that this might be a eversion ankle sprain or a medial ankle sprain, because to a degree, his ankle certainly is everted in these pictures. But again, because they're saying this is a foot injury, I think he's dealing with more, either a turf toe or a midfoot injury. Now again, I tend to lean towards the midfoot injury here just because they are calling it a foot injury. However, both turf toe and a midfoot kind of have similar mechanisms of injury here, which for the turf toe would be the hyperextension of the big toe, and for the midfoot would be the axial load on the middle of your foot due to that hyperextension of your toes. All right, so now to explain a little bit more about these injuries. This area right here is going to be what we would refer to as your midfoot, kind of self-explanatory, just the middle of the foot. And then this part right here is where the turf toe injury is going to occur on that first toe or great toe, big toe, whatever you want to call it. So like I just said, the injury is mainly going to occur at this joint right here, which is referred to as your MTP or metatarsal phalangeal joint. And all of the structures that are going to be affected are any on the plantar or bottom surface of your foot. And those structures are mainly going to be either the bottom or plantar surface of that joint capsule or that muscle you see right there known as your flexor hallucis brevis. And this is the same injury that Joe Burrow went down. Now, clearly he must have had a more severe case of turf toe, but it's, again, the same kind of concept. All right, so the other injury, like I said, midfoot, and you can see if I just dot them all, there's a lot of little tiny ligaments going on in between all of these bones in the middle of your foot. So it's kind of hard to pinpoint where the injury might be, but there is one type of injury called a Lisfranc injury that's pretty well known. And the Lisfranc ligament joint complex is all located between your first and second toe and the first and second cuneiform bones, which are just the ones right before your metatarsals or your toe bones. And this can either be the form of a sprain to the ligament or a fracture in that kind of area. And that can kind of lead to some differing opinions on whether or not surgery is needed, depending on the gaps between the bones and such. Now, I know they said they were seeking second opinions, but I wouldn't be too worried considering he was seen walking off the field and even went back in and played the next offensive snap. But again, this is just my opinion of what I think it's kind of shaping up to be, so if you have any other opinions, let me know in the comments.